You're at a zoo, watching a giraffe slowly stretch its neck toward the top of a tree. Other animals stand below, stuck with whatever leaves they can reach, but the giraffe, it eats like it owns the place. And that's when the question hits you. Why does it have a neck that long in the first place? If food is everywhere, why go that far? And more importantly, is that really the reason at all? Before we get into it, take a second to subscribe and leave a like. It helps more than you think, and it keeps explanations like this coming. Now, here's the surprising truth. Most people grow up hearing a very simple explanation. Giraffes have long necks so they can reach higher leaves. It sounds logical, it feels right. Taller animal, higher food, less competition. But this is where things get interesting, because that explanation isn't completely wrong. It's just not the whole story. In fact, if you look a little closer, it starts to fall apart in unexpected ways. For example, giraffes don't always eat from the tallest trees. A lot of the time, they feed at shoulder height, right alongside other animals. So if survival depended purely on reaching the highest leaves, why don't they always do that? And here's something even stranger. There are other animals living in the same environment, animals that could have evolved longer necks too, but they didn't. So why giraffes? Why only them? This is where most people get confused, because evolution isn't about becoming the best in a general sense. It's about small advantages, stacking over time in very specific situations. And with giraffes, scientists started noticing something that didn't quite match the classic food competition story. Male giraffes fight, but not the way you might expect. They don't bite, they don't claw, they swing their necks, literally. It's called necking. Two males stand side by side and use their necks like heavy, flexible weapons, slamming into each other to establish dominance. And the winner gets access to females. So suddenly, that long neck isn't just about survival, it's about reproduction. And in evolution, reproduction is everything, because it doesn't matter how long you survive if you don't pass your genes on. This leads to a completely different perspective. What if giraffes didn't evolve long necks just to reach food, but also because longer, stronger necks made them more successful in fights? And if those winners had more offspring, then generation after generation, necks would gradually get longer, not because of leaves, but because of competition. And this is where things start to shift, because now, instead of a simple reach higher equals survive story, you have a layered explanation. Food might have played a role, but so did mating, so did competition, so did behavior. And when you combine all of that, the long neck stops being a single-purpose feature and starts looking like the result of multiple pressures working together over millions of years. But here's where it gets even surprising. If longer necks were such a huge advantage, why don't we see even longer ones today? Why did evolution stop where it did? That's what we're going to uncover next, because the real answer isn't just about how giraffes got their necks, it's about the hidden limits that shaped them. And once you see those limits, the whole story changes. Now here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. If longer necks helped giraffes win fights and maybe even reach better food, then why didn't evolution just keep going? Why not necks twice as long, 3 times? Because in evolution, every advantage comes with a cost, and this is something most people completely overlook. A giraffe's neck might look elegant and effortless, but biologically, it's incredibly expensive. Start with the heart. To pump blood all the way up that long neck to the brain, a giraffe needs one of the most powerful hearts in the animal kingdom. We're talking about a system under intense pressure, literally. Their blood pressure is more than double that of humans. That's not a bonus, that's a risk, because the higher the pressure, the more strain on the entire system. One small failure and things can go wrong fast. And it doesn't stop there. Think about what happens when a giraffe lowers its head to drink water. Suddenly, all that high-pressure blood rushes downward. Without special adaptations, that could cause serious damage to the brain. So giraffes evolved a kind of natural pressure regulation system, tight skin, specialized valves in their blood vessels, basically a built-in mechanism to prevent disaster every time they bend down. Now here's the key point. All of this exists just to support the long neck, which means the neck isn't just an advantage, it's also a burden.
and evolution is always balancing these two sides. This is where most people get it wrong. They assume evolution is constantly pushing toward more or better, but in reality, it's about optimization. There's a sweet spot where the benefits of a trait are just enough to outweigh the costs. Go beyond that point, and the disadvantages start to win. For giraffes, that sweet spot seems to be exactly where they are now. Long enough to compete, long enough to feed efficiently, but not so long that the body can't handle it. And this explains something subtle but important: why giraffes don't look drastically different from one another in neck length. You don't see extreme variations because evolution has already filtered out what doesn't work. Too short, you lose fights, less chance to reproduce. Too long, your body pays the price, higher risk, lower survival. So over millions of years, giraffes didn't just evolve long necks, they evolved balanced necks. And once you see that, the whole idea of evolution starts to feel different. It's not a straight line toward perfection, it's more like a constant negotiation between trade-offs. Now, step back for a second. What started as a simple question, why are giraffe necks so long, turns out to have multiple layers. Yes, reaching food plays a role, but so does competition between males. And behind all of that, there's an invisible system of limits, pressure, energy, survival that keeps everything in check. So the next time you see a giraffe stretching toward the top of a tree, you're not just looking at an animal reaching for food, you're looking at millions of years of tiny adjustments, trade-offs, and hidden pressures, all shaped by one simple rule: what works stays, what doesn't disappears. And understanding that doesn't just explain giraffes, it changes how you see the natural world. If this made you see something familiar in a completely different way, leave a like, share this with someone who's never thought about it like this, and subscribe for more. Because sometimes the simplest things hide the most misunderstood truths.